20. Oldest black female artists who are surprisingly still alive. What if I told you that some of the most iconic black female artists' voices you grew up with, voices that shaped entire eras, are not only legends of the past, but are still alive today, carrying decades of history within them, from chart-topping hits to songs that became civil rights anthems. These women defined culture and continue to inspire. Their survival and resilience challenge everything we think we know about fame, time, and legacy. Stay tuned, because this journey will shock you. And before we dive in, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence. Dionne Warwick. Dionne Warwick, born December 12, 1940 in East Orange, New Jersey, is one of the most revered musical icons in American history. With her soulful voice and exquisite songwriting, she has left a lasting mark on pop, R&B, and soul music for more than 6 decades. Warwick began her musical journey in a church choir and later formed the gospel with her sister Dee Dee Warwick. Chính sự gặp gỡ với bộ đôi sáng tác Burt Bacharach và Hal David đã mở ra thời kỳ vàng son cho sự nghiệp của bà. Các ca khúc như Walk On By, Do You Know The Way To San Jose and I So Quickly Return. During her career, she has won 6 Grammy Awards and sold over 100 million records worldwide. Beyond music, Warwick has also made her mark in television as a presenter and a goodwill ambassador for the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. Her dedication to humanitarian causes is also highly regarded, making Warwick a role model for artists who use their fame to serve the community. A special point is that her voice is not inclined to showy technique, but instead focuses on conveying emotions and telling stories through each lyric, something that has helped Warwick gain a lasting position in the music industry. Notably, Warwick has charted on the Billboard Hot 100 over 80 times, a feat few female artists of her time have achieved. She was also one of the first black artists to break through racial barriers in the music industry, paving the way for generations to come. In 2019, Warwick received the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, honoring her entire incredible career. Today, at over 80 years old, Dionne Warwick still maintains a special appeal, appearing on television, participating in performances, and even connecting with young audiences via social media. Warwick is proof that true talent and perseverance can transcend all limits of time, making her one of the most timeless voices of the 2nd century. Diana Ross. Diana Ross, born on March 26, 1944 in Detroit, Michigan, stands as one of the most influential female artists in the history of popular music. She first rose to fame as the lead singer of the Supremes, Motown's most successful girl group, who achieved 12 #1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100. Songs such as Baby Love Stop in the Name of Love and You Can't Hurry Love defined the Motown sound of the 1960s, turning the Supremes into international superstars. Ross was not only the powerful voice at the center, but also a style icon, projecting confidence, elegance, and glamour that inspired millions of women across the globe. In 1970, Ross left the Supremes and launched her solo career, immediately proving her star power with the classic Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, she continued to dominate the charts with hits like Oopsie I'm Coming Out, Do It with Lionel Richie, one of the best-selling love songs of all time. Beyond music, Ross also made her mark on Hollywood. Her portrayal of Billie Holiday in Lady Sigh 1972 earned her an Academy Award nomination, while films like Mahoga and The Wiz showcased her versatility as both an actress and performer. Over her career, Diana Ross has sold more than 100 million records worldwide. She has been honored with the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2012 and received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Barack Obama in 2016, solidifying her place not only as a music legend, but also as a cultural icon. Do you think Diana Ross is remembered more as the glamorous leader of the Supremes, or as a groundbreaking solo artist? Even today, in her 80s, Diana Ross continues to perform at major events and remains a source of inspiration for younger generations. Her ability to reinvent herself, maintain relevance, and exude timeless star quality has cemented her as one of the greatest entertainers of all time. Diana Ross is living proof that true artistry transcends eras, and her light still shines as brightly as it did more than half a century ago. Gladys Knight. Gladys Knight, born on May 28, 1944 in Atlanta, Georgia, is affectionately known as the Empress of Soul, a title that reflects her unmatched vocal power, emotional depth, and enduring impact on music. From her earliest days, Knight showed a natural gift for singing, and by the age of 8, she won a talent contest on Ted Mack's Original Amateur Hour. Soon after, she began performing with her siblings and cousins in a group that would become world-famous G. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, the group gained fame with their rich harmonies and heartfelt performances. Their catalog includes classics such as I Heard It Through the Grapevine. Neither one of us wants to be the first to say goodbye, A Midnight Train to Georgia, which won them a Grammy Award in 1974. That song in particular remains an anthem of love, resilience, and sacrifice, deeply resonating with audiences across generations. Their ability to blend soul, R&B, and gospel set them apart in an era filled with iconic acts, while Knight's commanding stage presence became the heart of their success. Over her remarkable career, Knight has earned 7 Grammy Awards, selling millions of records worldwide. Beyond her achievements with the Pips, she built a successful solo career delivering hits such as License the Theme for the James Bond film of the same name and continuing to perform on global stages. Her versatility allowed her to shine in genres ranging from gospel and R&B to pop and even country. Gladys Knight's influence stretches far beyond music charts. She has appeared in films and television shows, further cementing her place as a beloved entertainer. In recognition of her cultural impact, she received the National Medal of Arts and Kennedy Center. Even today, well into her late 70s, Knight continues to tour and share her gift with audiences worldwide. Her voice, full of warmth and conviction, has not lost its brilliance. She is more than a singer. She is a storyteller, a bridge across generations, and an enduring symbol of soul music's emotional power. Gladys Knight's journey proves that true artistry only grows richer with time. Roberta Flack. Roberta Flack, born on February 10, 1937 in Black Mountain, North Carolina, is celebrated as one of the most soulful and refined voices in American music history. Unlike many of her peers, Flack's journey began not just with singing, but with a deep foundation in classical music. By the age of 15, she had earned a full music scholarship to Howard University, where she studied piano and voice, an achievement that reflected both her talent and determination at such a young age. This classical training would later shape her unique ability to blend genres, jazz, soul, folk, and R&B into a sound that was elegant, powerful, and timeless. Her breakthrough came in the early 1970s with The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face, Play Misty for Me. The song earned her a Grammy Award for Record of the Year in 1973 and cemented her as an international star. Shortly after, she captivated the world again with Killing Me Softly with his song, another Grammy-winning track that remains one of the most beloved ballads of all time. These songs showcased Flack's ability to channel raw emotion through a voice that was at once tender and commanding. Throughout her career, Roberta Flack released numerous acclaimed albums including Quiet Fire and Feel Like Making Love, and she became known for her exquisite duets with Donny Hathaway. Their collaborations such as Where Is the Love and The Closer I Get to You are still regarded as some of the finest duets in soul history. Flack's artistry went beyond commercial hits. She also dedicated much of her time to education and philanthropy, supporting music programs for underprivileged children and advocating for arts in schools. This commitment highlighted her belief that music could uplift and transform lives, just as it had transformed her own. Even today, Roberta Flack's influence is undeniable. Although health challenges have slowed her public appearances, her legacy continues to inspire new generations of artists from Lauryn Hill to Alicia Keys. With her sophisticated artistry and emotional depth, Roberta Flack remains a symbol of how true music transcends time, leaving an everlasting impact on both the industry and the hearts of listeners worldwide. Mavis Staples. Mavis Staples, born on July 10, 1939 in Chicago, Illinois, is one of the most powerful and enduring voices in American music. From an early age, she was surrounded by gospel and blues, thanks to her father Roebuck "Pop" Staples, who formed the family group, the Staple Singers. With Mavis as the lead singer, the group's sound became instantly recognizable, a fusion of gospel's spiritual depth with soul and R&B's emotional force. By the 1960s and 1970s, the Staple Singers were not only producing hit records like "I'll Take You There," "Respect Yourself," "Let's Do It Again," but they were also deeply tied to the civil rights movement. Their songs became anthems of hope and justice, played at rallies and marches, alongside leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Mavis's voice is often described as warm, gritty, and full of conviction, a voice that could soothe pain while inspiring change. Her presence on stage was commanding, making her not just an entertainer, but a messenger. As the decades passed, she stepped into her own solo career, releasing albums that tackled themes of faith, love, and social awareness. Collaborations with artists such as Prince Bob Dylan and later Jeff Tweedy of Wilco demonstrated her versatility and her ability to stay relevant across generations. Her 2010 album, "You Are Not Alone," produced by Tweedy, won a Grammy for Best Americana Album, showing that even after more than 50 years in the industry, Staples was still pushing creative boundaries. Beyond her music, Mavis Staples has always been an advocate for justice, using her platform to raise awareness about inequality and human dignity. She has been inducted into both the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Blues Hall of Fame, and in 2016 she received the Kennedy Center Honors, one of the highest recognitions for cultural contributions in the United States. Now in her 80s, Mavis Staples continues to perform with energy and charisma that astonishes audiences. Her concerts are more than shows. They feel like spiritual gatherings where music becomes a unifying force. Mavis Staples remains proof that music, when rooted in truth and passion, has the power to outlast generations and to inspire movements that change the world. Bettye LaVette. Bettye LaVette, born on January 29, 1946 in Muskegon, Michigan, is one of the most resilient and soulful voices in American music. Unlike some of her contemporaries who rose to stardom quickly, LaVette's career is a story of perseverance, reinvention, and a lifelong commitment to authenticity. She began recording at the young age of 16, releasing her debut single, "My Man, He's a Lovin' Man," in 1962. The track became a regional hit and earned her early recognition within the R&B world. However, while her peers found mainstream success, LaVette often faced obstacles that kept her in the shadows of the industry. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, she recorded a series of singles for labels like Atlantic and Motown, with songs such as "Let Me" showcasing her remarkable vocal depth. Still, many of these tracks didn't get the promotion they deserved, and albums were shelved or delayed. Despite these challenges, LaVette never gave up. She spent years performing in clubs on the theater circuit and even took her talents to Broadway, appearing in the musical Bubbling Brown Sugar. Her breakthrough revival came in the early 2000s, when her album "I've Got My Own Hell to Raise" 2005 brought her critical acclaim. This record introduced LaVette to a new generation of listeners, and her raw, emotionally charged style quickly captured critics and fans alike. Albums like "Scene of the Crime" and "Things Have Changed," a collection of Bob Dylan covers, further established her as an interpreter with rare depth, someone who could transform any song into a deeply personal statement. Bettye LaVette has been nominated for multiple Grammy Awards and in 2020 was inducted into the Blues Hall of Fame, a long overdue recognition of her contributions. She was also honored with the Americana Music Association's Legacy of Americana Award, proof of her influence across genres. In her late 70s, LaVette still records tours and stuns audiences with her interpretive power. Her voice carries the weight of decades full of pain, joy, and wisdom. Betty LaVette's story is not just about survival. It's about triumph, proving that true artistry will always find its moment to shine. Patti LaBelle. Patti LaBelle, born on May 24, 1944 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, is a powerhouse vocalist whose career has spanned over 6 decades. Known as the godmother of soul, she is celebrated for her wide vocal range, dramatic stage presence, and the ability to pour raw emotion into every note she sings. LaBelle first found success as the lead singer of Patti LaBelle, a girl group that gained attention in the early 1960s. By the 1970s, the group reinvented itself as LaBelle, embracing funk and glam rock influences. With their bold style and daring stage costumes, LaBelle broke barriers for women in music. Their 1975 smash hit Lady Marmalade became an international anthem and secured their place in music history. After LaBelle disbanded in 1977, Patti launched her solo career, quickly proving she could shine on her own. Her debut album featured the heartfelt "You Are My Friend, If Only You Knew" New Attitude and "On My Own," a duet with Michael McDonald that topped the Billboard Hot 100. Her style seamlessly blended soul, R&B, and gospel, while her soaring vocals earned her multiple Grammy Awards. Patti LaBelle's career extends far beyond music. She has acted in films like A Soldier's Story and American Horror Story Freak Show. Her work as an author and entrepreneur has further diversified her influence from writing cookbooks to launching her own line of successful food products. Her sweet potato pies in particular became a cultural phenomenon in the United States. Over the years, she has received numerous honors, including induction into the Grammy Hall of Fame, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and the BET Lifetime Achievement Award. More importantly, she has used her fame to support philanthropic efforts raising awareness for diabetes, cancer research, and HIV/AIDS. Even now, Patti LaBelle continues to perform with the same passion and energy that defined her early career. Her resilience, adaptability, and boundless talent make her not only a music legend, but also a symbol of strength and inspiration for generations of fans. Martha Reeves. Martha Reeves, born on July 18, 1941 in Eufaula, Alabama, and raised in Detroit, Michigan, is best known as the dynamic lead singer of Martha and the Vandellas' Heat Wave, Nowhere to Run, and these songs didn't just dominate the charts, they also became rallying cries during the civil rights movement, capturing the urgency and optimism of a generation. Reeves's path to stardom was unique. She originally worked as a secretary at Motown Records, but her vocal talent could not be overlooked. Soon, she was in the studio recording hits that would cement her place in history. With her vibrant stage presence and ability to project both strength and vulnerability, Reeves set herself apart as one of the era's leading female vocalists. Her performances radiated joy and passion, and her voice carried a distinctive grit that embodied the sound of Detroit soul. As the 1960s turned into the 1970s, Martha and the Vandellas remained influential, but Reeves eventually embarked on a solo career. Though she never achieved the same level of chart-topping success as her Motown peers, Diana Ross or Gladys Knight, her contribution to music and culture was undeniable. Songs like Jimmy Mack and Love Makes Me Do Foolish Things beyond music. Martha Reeves has also made an impact in public service. From 2005 to 2009, she served as a Detroit City Councilwoman, showing her dedication to her community and her desire to give back to the city that shaped her. This chapter of her life reflected the same determination and authenticity that fueled her music career. Now in her 80s, Martha Reeves remains active, performing at festivals and Motown tributes, carrying forward the music that defined an era. Her career is a testament to the power of perseverance, the lasting joy of soul music, and the ability of one voice to energize and inspire generations. Millie Jackson. Millie Jackson, born on July 15, 1944 in Thompson, Georgia, is widely regarded as one of the boldest, most innovative voices in R&B and soul. Known for her commanding presence and frank, often humorous lyrics, Jackson carved out a career that pushed boundaries and challenged conventions in ways few female artists dared at the time. Her music blended passionate singing with spoken-word storytelling, creating a unique style that critics often referred to as a mix between theater and raw honesty. Her big break came in the early 1970s with the release of It Hurts So Good, a song that reached the top of the R&B charts and became her signature hit. This track established Jackson as an artist unafraid to sing about love, desire, and vulnerability with unapologetic intensity. She followed up with albums such as Caught Up 1974 and Still Caught Up 1975 concept records that explored the complexities of love triangles and relationships. These albums stood out because Jackson narrated parts of the story in long-spoken interludes, effectively turning her records into dramatic experiences that listeners could feel as much as hear. Over the course of her career, Jackson released dozens of albums with 3 earning gold certification. She became famous for her live performances where her no-nonsense attitude and sharp wit made audiences laugh as much as they danced. Unlike many of her peers who relied solely on polished vocals, Jackson brought humor, realism, and a fearless personality to the stage. Her influence can be heard in later artists like Mary J. Blige, and even in modern hip-hop, where blunt lyricism and storytelling remain central. Millie Jackson also faced challenges including industry pushback for her provocative style and lyrical candor. Still, her refusal to conform is exactly what made her unforgettable. In interviews, she often joked about her reputation, but she also took pride in paving the way for future women in R&B to express themselves without restraint. Now, in her late 70s, Millie Jackson continues to be celebrated as a trailblazer. Though not as commercially dominant as some of her Motown contemporaries, her fearless artistry and signature blend of grit, humor, and soul have earned her a permanent place in music history. Candi Staton. Candi Staton, born on March 13, 1940 in Huntsville, Alabama, is often called the First Lady of Southern Soul. The secret Staton's breakthrough came in the 1970s when she transitioned into soul and R&B. Her impassioned rendition of Tammy Wynette's Stand By Your Man introduced her to a broader audience, but it was Young Heart's Run Free 1976 that became her signature hit. The disco anthem reached #1 on the Billboard R&B chart and resonated deeply with listeners, particularly women, as it carried a message of independence and empowerment drawn from Staton's own experiences with personal struggles. The song's enduring popularity has kept it relevant for decades, often featured in films, television, and even sampled by contemporary artists. What makes Candi Staton remarkable is her ability to reinvent herself. After enjoying success in soul and disco, she returned to her gospel roots in the 1980s and 1990s, recording inspirational music that earned her multiple Grammy nominations in the gospel category. Her dual career balancing both secular and sacred music showcases a rare versatility, proving that her artistry cannot be confined to one genre. In addition to her musical achievements, Staton's resilience is a vital part of her story. She has spoken openly about overcoming abusive relationships, health challenges, and the ups and downs of the music business. Rather than diminish her, these experiences gave her performances an authenticity that fans deeply connect with. In recognition of her contributions, she has been inducted into the Christian Music Hall of Fame and received numerous accolades for her influence across multiple musical landscapes. When you hear Young Hearts Run Free, do you view it more as a disco anthem for the dance floor, or as a personal declaration of strength and survival? Even in her 80s, Candi Staton continues to perform and record, most recently releasing new work in the 2020s. Her journey illustrates not just the evolution of an artist, but the triumph of a woman who turned hardship into timeless music, leaving behind a legacy of both inspiration and empowerment. Barbara Mason. Barbara Mason, born on August 9, 1947 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, is best remembered as one of the early voices of soul, whose music captured the innocence and intensity of young love. She began writing songs as a teenager, and unlike many of her peers, she penned much of her own material, a rare feat for a young black woman in the 1960s music industry. At just 17 years old, Mason achieved breakthrough success with her self-written hit, Yes, I'm Ready. 19. Following her breakout, Mason released a string of singles that showcased her smooth, expressive voice. Tracks like Sad Sad Girl and Oh How It Hurts highlighted her ability to blend sweetness with heartache, a balance that became her signature. By the 1970s, she had signed with Buddha Records and continued to produce bold, emotionally raw music. Songs like From His Woman to You and Shack reflected the changing times, addressing relationships with a more honest and sometimes controversial perspective. This willingness to speak candidly about love and desire gave her work a timeless quality. Though she never achieved the same mainstream recognition as Motown giants, Barbara Mason carved out her own unique space in R&B. She was often praised for her songwriting skills, her tender delivery, and her ability to connect with listeners on a personal level. Mason also proved herself as a savvy businesswoman, running her own music publishing company, a remarkable accomplishment during a period when few women had such control over their careers. Her songs have been covered and sampled by later artists, keeping her legacy alive in contemporary music. Yes, I'm Ready Face. Now, in her 70s, Barbara Mason continues to be celebrated by soul enthusiasts and is often invited to perform at classic soul reviews. Her journey reflects the power of authenticity, proving that even without constant chart dominance, a true artist's impact can remain unforgettable. Denise Williams. Denise Williams, born on June 3, 1950 in Gary, Indiana, is a powerhouse vocalist celebrated for her astonishing 4-octave range and her ability to glide seamlessly between gospel, R&B, pop, and soul. Known affectionately as Niecy Williams, built a career that has earned her 4 Grammy Awards and recognition as one of the most versatile singers of her generation. Her journey into stardom began with humble roots singing in her church choir before attending Morgan State University. She initially worked as a hospital worker and secretary, but soon pursued her dream in music. In the early 1970s, she joined Stevie Wonder's backup group, Wonder Love, contributing vocals to his groundbreaking albums Talking Book and Fulfillingness. First finale. This invaluable experience gave her exposure to the industry's highest levels and allowed her to hone her craft alongside one of music's greatest visionaries. By 1976, Denise Williams launched her solo career with the album This Is Niecy Free. The song soared to the top of the UK singles chart and remains one of her most iconic performances. Her sweet yet powerful delivery showcased both technical brilliance and emotional vulnerability, cementing her as a rising star. She later achieved global recognition in 1984 with Let's Hear It for the Boy, the upbeat anthem from the Footloose soundtrack that topped the Billboard Hot 100 and earned her another Grammy nomination. Williams's career is marked by an extraordinary versatility. She excelled in pop and R&B, but also returned often to her gospel roots. Her gospel recordings, including I Surrender All and This Is My Song, won her Grammy Awards in the gospel category, demonstrating that her artistry transcended genre boundaries. Her ability to move between sacred and secular music reflected both her personal faith and her broad appeal. Over the decades, Denise Williams has collaborated with stars like Johnny Mathis, with whom she recorded the duet Too Much, Too Little, Too Late. Now in her 70s, Denise Williams remains admired not only for her timeless hits, but also for her authenticity and passion for uplifting others through music. She is a shining example of how true artistry endures across generations. Chaka Khan. Chaka Khan, born Yvette Marie Stevens on March 23, 1953 in Chicago, Illinois, is revered worldwide as the Queen of Funk. With a career spanning over 5 decades, she has built an extraordinary legacy defined by her fiery stage presence, unmatched vocal power, and fearless ability to cross genres from funk and R&B to jazz, pop, and gospel. Her voice, rich and dynamic, carries both raw emotion and technical mastery, making her one of the most distinctive vocalists in modern music history. Her breakthrough came in the 1970s as the lead singer of the funk band Rufus. The group became household names with hits like Tell, written by Stevie Wonder, which won them a Grammy Award in 1975. Under Khan's magnetic leadership, Rufus released other enduring hits such as Sweet Thing and Everlasting Love. Her stage presence and vocal intensity set her apart, and it became clear that Khan was destined for solo stardom. In 1978, she launched her solo career with the self-titled album Chaka, which introduced the world to I'm Every Woman. The song became an anthem of empowerment for women everywhere, and decades later, Whitney Houston paid homage with her own chart-topping version. Throughout the 1980s, Khan delivered more iconic music, including Ain't Nobody I Feel For You. Over her career, Chaka Khan has won 10 Grammy Awards. Year K. Wick. Now in her 70s, Chaka Khan remains an active performer, her voice still carrying the same fire and passion that made her a star decades ago. With her ability to constantly reinvent herself and her influence on countless singers, she stands as a true pioneer who has reshaped the landscape of modern soul and funk. Anita Baker. Anita Baker, born on January 26, 1958, in Toledo, Ohio, and raised in Detroit, Michigan, is one of the most celebrated balladeers of the modern soul era. Known for her smoky contralto voice and intimate delivery, she helped define the quiet storm movement of the 1980s with songs that blended soul jazz and R&B into a style that was both elegant and deeply emotional. Baker began her career in the late 1970s as the lead vocalist of the funk band Chapter 8. Though the group achieved only modest success, her talent was undeniable. After leaving the band, she pursued a solo career and released her debut album, The Songstress, in 1983, which hinted at her potential. However, it was her second album, Rapture 1986, that catapulted her into superstardom. Featuring the Grammy-winning single Sweet Love, the album sold more than 8 million copies worldwide and became a cornerstone of contemporary R&B. Tracks like Caught Up in the Rapture and You Bring Me Joy showcased her ability to blend tenderness with sophistication, creating music that resonated across radio formats and international audiences. Over the course of her career, Anita Baker earned 8 Grammy Awards, 4 American Music Awards, and several platinum and gold albums. Her voice, often described as velvety and conversational, created an atmosphere of intimacy that made listeners feel as though she were singing directly to them. Beyond, He Is Kidnapped. Albums such as Giving You the Best That I Got, 1988, and Compositions 1990, Sun. What set Baker apart was not just her vocal gift, but her artistry. She carefully crafted albums that flowed like stories, with songs tied together by mood and theme. She also resisted the pressure to chase trends, instead staying true to her distinctive sound. This decision allowed her music to age gracefully, remaining as moving now as when it was first recorded. Stephanie Mills. Stephanie Mills, born on March 22, 1957 in Brooklyn, New York, is a Grammy-winning powerhouse vocalist whose career has spanned Broadway, R&B, and gospel. Known for her petite stature but mighty voice, Mills has often been described as an artist whose talent far exceeds her recognition in mainstream pop culture. Her journey began in the world of theater, where at just 17 years old, she landed the role of Dorothy in the original Broadway production of The Wiz 1975. Her rendition of the song Home became an instant classic, earning her critical acclaim and firmly establishing her as a rising star. After her success on Broadway, Mills transitioned into recording music and found her stride in R&B during the late 1970s and 1980s. Her album, What Cha Gonna Do With My Lovin' 197 Never Knew Love Like This Before, which won her a Grammy Award in 1981 for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance. Other memorable tracks, such as I Have Learned to Respect the Power of Love, Something in the Way You Make Me Feel, and The Comfort of a Man, highlighted her versatility in delivering both tender ballads and powerful anthems. Mills was also admired for her ability to bridge the worlds of theater and contemporary music. While many performers struggled to transition from Broadway to the charts, she did so with ease, building a catalog that resonated with both theater-goers and R&B fans alike. She worked with industry heavyweights such as Teddy Pendergrass, Luther Vandross, and Angela Winbush, collaborations that further solidified her place in the R&B pantheon. Her career wasn't just about hit records. Stephanie Mills has long been a strong advocate for Black artistry and representation. She often spoke candidly about the challenges of being a Black woman in the music industry, yet she turned those struggles into motivation, using her voice not only to sing, but to inspire. Sade Adu. Sade Adu, born Helen Fola Sade Adu on January 16, 1959 in Ibadan, Nigeria, and raised in England, is the elegant and enigmatic voice behind the band Sade. Known for her smooth contralto understated stage presence and timeless style, Sade became one of the most distinctive artists of the 1980s. Unlike many of her contemporaries who embraced flashy performances, she built her legacy on subtlety and sophistication, blending soul jazz, R&B, and soft rock into music that felt both intimate and universal. Her rise to international fame began with the band's debut album, Diamond Life 1984. Propelled by the hit Smooth Operator, the album sold over 10 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling debut albums by a British female artist. Songs like Your Love is King and Hang On to Your Love cemented Sade's reputation as a group capable of crafting music that was sensual yet refined. Their follow-up album Promise 1985, featuring the hit The Sweetest Taboo, further established their global reach, topping charts and earning critical acclaim. What set Sade Adu apart was not only her voice, but also her aura. She projected quiet confidence, becoming a fashion icon with her minimalist style, slicked back hair, hoop earrings, and tailored clothing. This image, combined with her hushed yet powerful vocals, made her a figure of cool sophistication that resonated across cultures. Despite long hiatuses between albums, each release became a major event. Stronger Than Pride, 1988. Love Deluxe, 1992, and Lovers Rock 2000 continued to produce hits like No Ordinary Love and By Your Side. In 2010, the band's album Soldier of Love debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, proving that Sade's appeal remained undiminished after more than 25 years. Sade Adu has won 4 Grammy Awards, including Best New Artist in 1986, and her influence is evident in artists such as Beyoncé, Alicia Keys, and Maxwell, who admire her ability to merge intimacy with universality. Now in her 60s, Sade Adu continues to maintain a private life, rarely appearing in public, which only adds to her mystique. Yet whenever her voice is heard, it feels instantly familiar and deeply moving. A reminder that true artistry doesn't need constant visibility, only authenticity and timeless expression. Shirley Caesar. Shirley Caesar, born on October 13, 1938 in Durham, North Carolina, is celebrated worldwide as the First Lady of Gospel. With a career spanning more than 7 decades, she has become one of the most enduring and influential figures in gospel music. Known for her powerful voice, passionate delivery, and ability to blend preaching with song, Caesar has released over 40 albums, sold millions of records, and won 11 Grammy Awards, making her one of the most decorated artists in gospel history. Her journey began at just 12 years old when she recorded her first song and later joined the acclaimed gospel group The Caravans in the 1950s. With them, she honed her performance skills and developed the dynamic stage presence that would define her career. By the late 1960s, she launched her solo career, releasing a steady stream of albums that included gospel staples like Jesus I Love, Calling Your Name No Charge, and Hold My Mule. These songs were not only spiritual declarations, but also cultural touchstones that crossed into mainstream awareness. Shirley Caesar's artistry goes beyond her voice. She is known for her unique storytelling ability, often weaving spoken sermons into her music, turning each performance into an emotional journey. This style has made her live shows feel more like church revivals than concerts, drawing audiences of all ages and backgrounds. Her authenticity and energy on stage reflect a deep commitment to her faith and her mission to uplift others through music. In addition to her musical accomplishments, Caesar has served as a pastor at Mount Calvary Word of Faith Church in Durham, showing her dedication to both ministry and community. Her influence extends far beyond the pulpit and the stage, as she has been an advocate for education, youth programs, and outreach initiatives. In 2016, she was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a recognition of her profound cultural contributions. Even in her 80s, Caesar continues to perform, inspire, and lead her voice, retaining the fire and conviction that first brought her fame. She embodies the power of gospel, not just as music, but as a way of life, a force for hope, healing, and perseverance. Darlene Love. Darlene Love, born on July 26, 1941 in Los Angeles, California, is a legendary vocalist whose career reflects both the triumphs and struggles of women in the music industry. She began singing in church choirs where her powerful voice quickly stood out, and by the early 1960s, she was recruited as the lead singer for the girl group The Blossoms. Her career took a pivotal turn when she began working with producer Phil Spector, lending her voice to a series of classic hits that helped define the Wall of Sound era. One of her most famous performances was on He's a Rebel 1962, which reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Although the track was credited to another group, the Crystals, it was Love's voice that powered the record and gave it its timeless appeal. She also recorded He's Sure the Boy I Love and Christmas Baby, Please Come Home, the latter of which became a holiday staple and cemented her place in music history. For nearly 30 years, she performed the Christmas hit annually on David Letterman's late-night show, turning it into a beloved holiday tradition. Despite her talent, Love's career was often overshadowed by unfair industry practices. She spent years as a background singer for artists like Sam Cooke, Elvis Presley, and Dionne Warwick, contributing to countless hits while receiving little credit. Yet her resilience kept her going, and in later decades, she reclaimed her spotlight. Her story was memorably featured in the Oscar-winning documentary 20 Feet from Stardom 2013, which highlighted the struggles and overlooked contributions of backup singers in popular music. Darlene Love's perseverance has earned her long-overdue recognition. In 2011, she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a testament to her influence and endurance. She has also acted on Broadway and in films such as Lethal Weapon, proving her versatility as an entertainer. Now, in her 80s, Love continues to perform with the same passion that first put her on the map. Her voice, full of power and joy, remains a symbol of survival and triumph. Darlene Love's journey is proof that true talent may be overlooked for a time, but it can never be silenced. Grace Jones. Grace Jones, born on May 19, 1948 in Spanish Town, Jamaica, and raised in Syracuse, New York, is one of the most iconic and unconventional figures in entertainment history. She began her career in the late 1960s as a fashion model, moving to Paris, where she worked with top designers like Yves Saint Laurent and Kenzo, and appeared on the covers of major fashion magazines. Her androgynous looks, striking features, and fearless attitude set her apart from the typical beauty standards of the era, establishing her as both a trailblazer and a muse for the fashion world. By the mid-1970s, Grace Jones shifted into music, becoming a disco sensation with albums such as Portfolio and Fame. However, it was in the 1980s that she redefined herself, blending disco, new wave, reggae, and funk into a bold, futuristic sound. Her albums Nightclubbing 1981 and Slave to the Rhythm 1985 are considered classics, producing hits like Pull Up to the Bumper and Slave to the Rhythm. With her commanding contralto voice, theatrical performances, and avant-garde image, she became a symbol of artistic reinvention. Jones's artistry went beyond sound. Her visuals and performances challenged gender norms and expectations. Working closely with photographer Jean-Paul Goude, she created some of the most memorable images in pop culture, from her angular, flat-top haircut to her striking stage costumes. She turned concerts into performance art, blending music, fashion, and theater in ways that influenced generations of performers, including Madonna, Lady Gaga, and Rihanna. Her talents also extended to acting. Grace Jones starred in films such as Conan the Destroyer 1984 and the James Bond classic A View to a Kill, 1985, where her commanding screen presence made her a standout. While she often played fierce, larger-than-life characters, they perfectly mirrored her real-life persona, bold, unapologetic, and unforgettable. Throughout her career, she has received numerous honors, including the Q Icon Award and recognition at the World Music Awards. More importantly, she has maintained her status as a cultural icon, celebrated for her refusal to conform and her ability to constantly reinvent herself. Now in her 70s, Grace Jones continues to perform at festivals and art events, mesmerizing audiences with her timeless energy and creativity. She remains a true original, an artist who turned her life into a masterpiece of individuality and innovation. Mary J. Blige. Mary J. Blige, born on January 11, 1971 in the Bronx, New York, is hailed as the queen of hip-hop soul for her groundbreaking fusion of R&B melodies with hip-hop beats. Emerging in the early 1990s, Blige gave a raw, authentic voice to the struggles and triumphs of urban life, particularly for women. Her honesty about love, pain, addiction, and resilience set her apart in an industry often dominated by polished, untouchable personas. Her debut album, What's the 411 1992, produced by Sean Puffy Combs, revolutionized contemporary R&B. With hits like Real Love and You Remind Me, she bridged the gap between hip-hop's street energy and soulful ballads, creating a blueprint that countless artists would later follow. Her second album, My Life 1994, is widely considered a masterpiece, praised for its emotional depth and vulnerability. The album, inspired by her own struggles with depression and substance abuse, resonated deeply with fans, many of whom saw their own stories reflected in her lyrics. Over the next 3 decades, Mary J. Blige built an extraordinary catalog that includes anthems like Be Without You Family Affair and No More Drama. She has released more than 15 studio albums, sold over 100 million records worldwide, and earned 9 Grammy Awards out of more than 30 nominations. Beyond music, Blige's influence expanded into acting. Her performance in the 2017 film Mudbound earned her Academy Award nominations for both Best Supporting Actress and Best Original Song, making her the first person to achieve this dual recognition in the same year. Blige's journey is not only about artistic triumph, but also personal resilience. She has openly shared her battles with addiction, toxic relationships, and self-doubt, turning her healing process into music that inspires millions. This authenticity has made her not just an entertainer, but a role model, particularly for women navigating hardship. Do you think Mary J. Blige's greatest legacy lies in her pioneering role as the queen of hip-hop soul, or in her fearless honesty that continues to inspire resilience in her fans? Now in her 50s, Mary J. Blige continues to tour record and expand her influence. She has ventured into business, launched her own production company, and performed at the Super Bowl halftime show in 2022. Her ability to evolve while staying true to her roots proves why she remains one of the most respected and enduring figures in contemporary music. When we look at legends like Dionne Warwick, Diana Ross, Gladys Knight, Roberta Flack, Mavis, Staples, Patti LaBelle, and so many others still standing tall, one thing becomes clear. Black excellence is not just history, it's alive and breathing. These women shattered barriers, gave us timeless music, and proved that resilience and artistry outlast trends. Yet the debate remains, should we remember them more for their cultural impact or for the music that continues to move generations? Share your thoughts below, because at Legends of Black Excellence, your voice is part of the story.